Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Chat Show. And it is Friday, and we've made it. Thank you, we've made it. It's great to be back. And Wednesday's show with Mario was absolutely fantastic, and we had so much great feedback from that. Thank you for getting involved, and thank you for Mario for coming on. And we've got another fantastic guest for you today. You really have. Chris Hooley is here. He's not in his loft anymore. He's certainly under the stairs. How are you, Mr. Hooley?
Yeah, I'm very good. It's much warmer under the stairs, so I'm happy.
I have my it's officially December. I have my Santa Sons of Anarchy t-shirt on, repping the Christmas.
Nice.
Are you festive yet, Chris Hooley?
No, I'm waiting for my WCCS shirt to come in the post, but until then I'll wear this hoodie.
Christmas one or just a normal one?
Yeah, Christmas one.
Oh, you ordered a Christmas shirt. I haven't put one through yet, and I'm gonna have to do that. I'm just trying to figure this stuff out a minute. So yes, Beer Token book promotion. I said it properly, Chris. Today's sponsor show, each show we do this, and if you're watching and you don't know what this is, you can, sponsor the show for the week or this episode really, and put your book up in the top corner and we'll talk about it. It's a great way to get exposure. So hold your horses, Chris Hooley. So tonight's Beer Token book promotion sponsor is, one second. It's Mario Delalio, who was our guest on Wednesday, funnily enough. And his brand new book has just been released. It's called New Men. It's out now on paperback and ebook, and it has only just one rating at the moment because it's brand new out, and it's 5 stars, that rating. Anthony and Kevin met in a seminary, both secretly gay and into a steamy romantic relationship. Will they stay together, facing all the homophobia from the church and the society in the 1980s? Ooh. And so, yeah, someone said this book is beyond amazing. It's everything you want in a novel: drama, romance, intrigue, corruption, and the search for meaning. It's had really good feedback, so please check that out. Nice. And support the authors that support the show, as always. All right, Chris, I'll put it up there. There it is. New Men by Mario Delalio. You gonna point?
It's a great cover. I feel like I've seen that before, but yeah, it's a good cover.
Brilliant. So yeah, check that out. So on to tonight's guest.
Before we do that,
yeah,
1 second. We've got 3 books to give away today. So if you want to win a book and you're watching the show live now, just tweet us. Just tag this show in any way that you can, just with the hashtag win. And we've actually got our guest's book, and we'll tell you who that is in a second, to give away. We've got a copy of that in ebook, and we've also got a writer on the show, because I put a tweet out before and I've picked Halo Scott's books. And that's right, I said books because she's got 2 books out. So you can also win both of Halo's books. So if you want to win all 3 of those books, you can get 3 books ready for the weekend to read. All you need to do is just tweet the show with hashtag win, and we'll pick a winner at the end of the show.
Hi, Halo says thank you on the chat. And I just said we are live. This is streaming. It does go out on the podcast later on, but we are live. So please get involved in the chat. Please talk to each other and talk to us and ask us questions. So are you ready for the guest, Chris Hooley?
I am indeed.
Excellent. So am I, and hopefully you are too. So let's introduce tonight's guest, and it is Louise Fein. I'm sure I get that wrong.
You're going to be corrected in a minute, my friend.
Author of People Like Us, daughter of the Reich. So hello, Louise. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm very good. Lovely to be here. And
fantastic.
Yes, I get my name wrong. It's fine.
Told you.
It's very much.
I do have a funny story about my name. Am I allowed to say that now? Or...
Of course.
Yeah.
So I had a message come to me through my website from a reader saying that I'd spelt fine wrong, because it's not, and that it's a really bad impression, and that it's very sloppy, etc., etc. So I tweeted this, I found it actually quite funny. And I tweeted it, and I'm like, this is my actual name. I've been using it my life. And it didn't go viral as such, but it had nearly 870 likes and retweets and this whole thing just about my name. So there you go.
Wow.
So someone actually told you that you spelt your name wrong, and it was unacceptable for an author to do that.
Exactly, that it was sloppy and created a bad impression. So There you go.
Wow.
I've definitely said, don't worry, my publisher said it was fine, and then spelt fine wrong.
Oh, so it's amazing to see you, and thank you for coming on the show. And we mentioned just before we came on here how wonderful your library behind you is, basically, and that you explained that there's not a room in the house without one. So they're obviously
without
a big passion.
library, but yes, books.
So it's obviously a big passion of yours.
Yes, for sure. And I've got 3 kids, one of whom is an avid reader, and the other 2 really aren't interested, but I'm like pushing it down their throats, as you do.
Well, if there's a book in every room in the house, that's more likely to happen.
I hope so, eventually, in time.
Hello, Brandon, on the chat. He says, how very Nora Roberts of you, Louise. Yeah, so as there are some people that watch this show or listen to it on the podcast that may never have come across Louise. How can you sort of introduce your work, but more importantly, where did it come from in your life? And I believe looking at your website, which is wonderful, by the way, and the blog, really, it kept me reading for quite some time. This was something that happened in your life as an early age, but can you explain to everyone where the passion came from?
Yeah, so, well, like a lot of authors, I've always wanted to be an author. It was the first thing I ever, if people said, what do you want to do when you grow up? I always said author. And as a child, I was a total bookworm, loved books. But I never considered it to be a possibility for a career. So I kind of went down the law route. And from there, I kind of went into finance. So as far away from books as you kind of can get. But I always wrote. So, diaries, poems, sort of ideas for short stories or novels. I used to do it on the train, on the commute to wind down. It was kind of my wind down time. And then my youngest daughter got really poorly when she was about 2. And although I worked all the way through when she was ill, actually, when she started to get better, I felt she really needed me around more. And that sort of coincided with, I saw an advertisement for a master's in creative writing. And it was specifically for writing your first novel. And I think it's the only master's in the country that specifically is about novel, well, not about novel writing, but your first novel. At Mary's University in Twickenham. And I just went home and I said to my husband, this is what I'd like to do. And he just said, well, just do it, And I'm like, but money and blah. And he was like, look, there's never going to be a right time. Just do it. So I did it, and I thought I'll give myself a year while I do the course, and I'll write a book, and then I'll go back to work, or I'll be, this amazing author making loads of money, which obviously didn't happen. And 1 year turned into several. And I didn't go back to work. But the result is People Like Us, which is my debut novel. And it was out, it should have come out in all formats in May, but because of lockdown, the hardback publication got pushed back to August. So that's a very brief story of how I got here.
So had you done any courses or any sort of research into how to write these sort of books, or official courses before going straight into a master's?
I had done a short course at the City Lit years and years ago. I don't even think I was married. It was a long time ago, and it was just a general creative writing. I think it was for about 10 weeks or something. And I just wrote little bits. It wasn't specifically for novels. And I just kept thinking, when I have some time, and then life gets in the way, doesn't it? And but I think if you don't make time, it's always going to get pushed back.
So look, sorry, Chris.
No, I was going to say, Louise, how did it feel going from writing for yourself and writing diaries and having that passion for writing to then suddenly going into a academic environment where people are reading and criticizing your work on a weekly basis?
Yeah, that was a bit of a shocker, actually, because our tutors were savage. And so to get on the course, you actually had to write a proposal. So you had to write, I think, about 3,000 words and have an interview. So I had a little bit of encouragement by the fact that I got on the course. I thought, oh, well, maybe this isn't so crazy. And then I was thinking, oh, this is okay. And I'd written this thing, so I put my work in, and then it literally came back with just so many red marks all over it. And it was quite brutal in that sense, but in a way it was good because, if you do get published, people do go through your work with a fine tooth comb, and having an editor, they will go through it, and you have to have a thick skin, I think. So it was good practice. Yeah.
So if we can have a quick look back at your book that you just showed us, and there's something fascinating about this book because you've done it with 2 different covers. And can we talk about that a little bit, because that really fascinates me?
Well, I haven't done it. So my publisher picked the cover. I actually love this cover. I really love it. It's published in America and Canada with a different title and a different cover. Sorry, the light's really bad. So so it's a totally different look, and it's really just to suit different markets. So this is kind of, well, to me, that's a more old-fashioned sort of look, but the feedback in America is they love this cover. And I don't know, actually, I haven't really had any feedback on this one, but I love it, so that's all that matters.
Which one is your favorite?
I'm allowed to say this one?
Yeah, of course you are.
I hope my publishers aren't watching, but yeah, I love it.
Do you know what? I kind of like they're both really nice, but I kind of was drawn to the other one.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? Maybe you're American.
Might be, yeah. A lot of our followers are American, so they'll appreciate it.
Maybe that
yeah.
But
so Louise, I was going to say you've got quite a unique writing process there in terms of writing your first novel in an academic setting and in sort of like on a weekly basis. So how has your process changed from when you first tackled your first novel in an academic setting at university to how you're writing now?
Yeah, so the degree wasn't just writing the book, so that was part of it, but there was quite a lot of other work that went with it as well. And I think what it did was it gave you the impetus to do it. And the best thing about it, obviously there were lots of good things about it, but the best thing was having a group of people that we all carried on after the degree, critiquing each other's work, which is the best thing, and sort of going through the journey together. And it, to think I could write it in a year was just nuts, because it took me so much longer than that. So actually, from the time I started the degree to publication was 5 years. So it was quite a long process. But I had to do loads of research as well. So that took, a lot of time, and I didn't just write it, I was doing other things. So, but yeah, it gave you the discipline to be writing all the time. And yeah, learning the craft. I mean, if you do anything else, like playing an instrument or painting, it's you learn the craft. So you can do that lots of ways. You don't have to do a degree or a course, but I think it just shortens the process a bit. Probably.
Can I just mention something that, again, I mentioned how amazing your website was and your blog as well, and how good it was. There's a few comments that I'd like to point out on there that they link together. And the first one is, I worked hard, and despite knockback after knockback, I got there in the end. And to me, that was what really mattered. So this is a process I think a lot of authors have been through and can very much sort of relate to. And then you get to the point where your book was, taken by a publisher, which is, a lot of people's dreams, but a very nerve-wracking thing to do. And you mentioned then that you were paralyzed with fear that they'd read your book more closely, and you at the time had a 2-book deal. And you think that they made a big mistake and they couldn't publish your work. And I think that's an absolutely understandable thought process. So when you get this comment from the publisher, How did it make you feel? And the comment is, this is the book I entered publishing to publish. Equally heartbreaking and heartwarming, set against one of the most atmospheric backdrops. Louise Fein, restores your faith in the...
Fine, get it right, man.
Sorry. In our ability to change. That is an absolute knock it out the park comment from a publisher. After your doubts and fears and worries that are rightly so, how did that make you feel?
Do you know what? It was the weirdest time because everyone kept saying to me, you must be so happy, you must be over the moon. And on one level, of course, I was incredibly happy and over the moon. But it was also mixed with this just paralyzing anxiety, I think, of having a book out in the world that people were going to see and people were going to say bad things about. And, you know, it was just, and I was just certain everyone would find I was actually a fraud. And I did actually have a recurring dream that my publisher rang my agent and said, you know, this is just ridiculous. We can't publish this rubbish. We've made this enormous mistake. And, you know, she's going to have to pay her advance back. And it's just like everything's cancelled. You know, variations on that dream. And I think that whole anxiety thing just sort of, you know, it took away a bit from the fact that it was, of course, a dream come true. And literally for about 5 weeks after I got my publishing deal, I didn't sleep. I did not sleep. I was just sick. It was the weirdest thing. I didn't expect to feel like that at all. So yeah, it's an odd thing it does to your head, I think.
So Louise, oh, sorry, Chris. I was going to say, you mentioned that you've always loved books and you've been a bookworm from day dot, basically. So where did the idea for people like us come from? Like, did you have sort of like a weird Stephen King moment where it came in a dream, or, you know, where was the idea spawned from?
I mean, it was inspired by the fact that my father was a refugee. He came to England in 1933 from Nazi Germany. He was, so my mum is English, but she was his second wife. She was very, very much younger than him. And so he died when I was only 17, and he never ever spoke about his past or what happened with in his life in Leipzig, which is where the book is set. And I think I always wanted to write something about it. And originally I thought, you know, maybe something based around the family story, but there was so little information that I had, and actually wasn't that interesting, that I chose in the end to write a fictional story. And it was really during the course of my research that I came up with the notion, because what I really struggled to understand was how a deeply civilized nation could become, you know, this horrendous Nazi state. And in my research, I decided that the best way to tell the story was from the Nazi perspective, because you read so many books told from the sort of the victim, as it were, the Jewish perspective or the reluctant German. But what about the ones that really were fully, you know, brainwashed into this whole thing? And by telling it from a young person's perspective, I think you've got the reader's sympathy, because a child is sort of forgivable, and actually, you know, Hitler did target the youth, so it was the most believable way to tell the story. So that's really where it came from.
It's fascinating, really is. There's a question that I was multitasking, it's just slipped completely out of my head. Apologies. Oh, sorry, there it is. Halo's asked, what was the researching process like for something like that? Obviously, there was a connection in your life, but what did you go into a further detail and research? How was that for you?
Yeah, well, actually, luckily, I love research. So, because I think if you're going to write historical fiction, you kind of have to love the research, because to make it authentic, you really need to research. I mean, 95% of what I've researched is not in the book, but it's sort of infused into the book. So essentially what I did to start with was just general reading around, you know, the sort of the growth of the Nazis. I read fiction that was set in that time. And then I tried to read as much contemporaneous stuff as I could. So things like diaries that had been written at the time. I listened to, there were some tapes of reminiscences, people remembering, you know, what it was like to be in the Hitler Youth and that sort of thing. And I went to Leipzig. I interviewed people. I met the head of the schools museum. I met a professor of Aryanization at the university. And the other thing I had, which was really quite lucky, was I was given about 24 boxes of family archives. So it was all letters, official documents, diaries, all from the family from about the early 1900s up to about 1960. A lot of it I couldn't read because it was in German and I don't speak German. But I got some stuff translated, and that was a bit of a goldmine.
That would absolutely fascinate me, finding all that stuff. It really would. I'm very much into my World War II history, and I would be days with my head in a box looking at that stuff. Connor's asked, Louise, were you ever scared of what you learned in your research? Good question.
Well, actually, yeah, it's a really good question. And what actually scared me was the parallels I started to see with then and now. And bearing in mind, I was writing this book all through the period when we had Brexit and Trump being elected, and, you know, the whole growth of nationalism and all this stuff. And it all just felt like quite scary. So that was the scariest thing, really. And I did force myself to read Mein Kampf, which was deeply uncomfortable. And I didn't enjoy that at all. 670 pages of it. But I felt I needed to, you know. So yes, some of it is quite harrowing. And actually some of the book, I better not give anything away. I did go to a concentration camp while I was there, which was, that was kind of not great.
It's one of those strange things that it kind of draws me to want to do, but at the same time, I don't want to do it. It's kind of a really crazy thing to try and figure out. But, you know, it's a massive part of a history. And I've got twin boys, they're 16. And I tried really my best to enforce the idea of that this was only 70 odd years ago. And it really isn't long ago. And when you look at the pictures and the videos, you can understand why youth of today kind of feel disconnected from it. But it really is only a generation or so ago. So I try my best to keep them in contact with that. But it's just a really fascinating thing. I find it incredible. Fascinating research. Yeah, it is.
So, Louise, what do you think draws you to do such extensive research? Because this sounds more like a labor of love, this first novel, than you know, just banging out a novel or, you know, giving it a go. So what do you think draws you to that?
It was a labor of love, but I think I would, in a parallel universe, I would have been a bit of an academic. I do love academia, and I love going into all this stuff, and I'm quite a detail person. I can't write a novel really quickly. It's just not really my thing. I have just finished my second novel, which is coming out next year, and that had a similar level of research. So yeah, it's just I enjoy it. I love learning about stuff that I think I like books which show a part of history or a part of life that we don't know that well, or we think we know it, and actually we don't know that well.
So how do you manage as a writer then to go about, you've got all this information, you've got a wealth of information, but say your publisher says, right, the book can't be too big because that'll put people off, so it needs to be a certain length, looking at this, you know, being 100,000 words or something. How do you then go about taking all that information and everything you've learned and everything that you probably want to talk about and then not talk about it and limit that?
Yeah, well, first of all, my publishers have never said it needs to be this many words. So I think a book is as long as the story needs to be. And the second thing is, the most important thing, it is a novel. It's not a history book. If you're writing a textbook, that's one thing, but this is a novel. So the most important thing in it is the story and the characters. And so I think what I try to do is I try to do as much general research as I can, and then just write the story. And then when I'm writing the story, there might be specific bits of research I need to do to sort of add authenticity to those parts, or things I need to find out more about. But I think if you get bogged too much in the facts and the history, then you're going to lose something in the story. You don't want it to be just a big info dump of facts.
Having written a story that is very much close to your heart and something that you feel very connected to, is there something that, definitely as someone who really wanted to be an author, is there something that's pulling you in another direction now, a different genre perhaps, or a story that's been nagging? Is there something that's not very much connected to you that you really want to get out now?
Well, my second book is also historical fiction, but it's actually set in the 1920s in England, this one. And it slightly came about because my youngest daughter was very, very poorly when she was little. She had a very severe form of epilepsy, and there's a lot of stigma around epilepsy still, but back in the 1920s it was much, much worse. And had she been ill at that age, then she would have been put in an epilepsy colony.
Okay.
Most likely. What I didn't realize until I was researching my first book was that the whole eugenics thing that you associate with Nazi Germany actually came from England and America, and is kind of really brushed under the carpet. So this whole second book explores that era and the whole eugenics movement, because it's about a couple who have a child and she's not perfect, and to them and the child. And in answer to your question, my next book is it is historical fiction again, but it's going to be more thriller-ish. And I don't always want to write historical fiction. I do want to write some contemporary stuff. I've got some ideas. I think it's quite difficult when you are bracketed by the publisher as something. It's quite difficult to break out and be something else, but we'll see.
Would you go with another pen name?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, that might be something. I have also in my drawer, like most people, I've got a sort of middle grade children's book. That when I've got a spare moment, I'd like to
when do you know you've done too much research? Because you mentioned how much detail you put into your research. At what point do you say, okay, this is enough, time to write? Is there any advice you can give people that are in that situation?
Yeah, I think so I'm one of these people that I've got a vague idea of a story, and then doing the research helps me to work out exactly what that story is. So I think the time for me is when I know what my story is, because I think you can always fill in the research later. Thank you. I was just reading the comments. So I don't think there's any right or wrong. And sometimes you can do your research and then you're like, I just really want to actually get writing, and that's fine.
Yeah. Vince said on top of that comment, was there a time where you felt like there was too much research and there was too much going on and you kind of felt like you wanted to give up? Was there a time like that in this process, and what made you carry on if there was?
I wanted to give up a lot of times. What made me carry on? I don't know. I just like a dog with a bone. I'm not going to give up. And I mean, it went through a lot of rewrites.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with the research, I made a big mistake with my first book, because of course your first book you kind of learn on, and I did lots of reading, but I didn't really sort of catalogue it very well. So I get to a part of the book and I think, oh, I know I've read something about this, and then I couldn't remember where I'd put it. So my one top tip is, when you read and do things, make really careful notes of where it all is, because when you come to write, you will have forgotten exactly where that is.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
So this time I've been much more methodical about the research and where it all is. So
Are you a big plotter?
no,
Excellent.
no, not at all. I have this really vague idea. So often I know how it starts or I know how it finishes, and then I have no idea really what happens in the middle. But I think
I love that, yeah.
I write a terrible, terrible, terrible first draft that I would never show anybody. And that is really just finding out what the story's about and finding out about the characters, letting them do their thing. And on one level, I love that part because it's just anything can happen, anything. But it's very messy, very messy. And then,
So, Louise, we have a few sort of staple writing community chat show questions that we're going to throw at you for a little bit. So one of them is, if you could change the ending to any novel that you've read, which novel would it be and why?
oh my gosh.
Certainly need a glass of wine after that question, as always, Chris.
Yeah. Don't worry, that question stumps everyone.
Yeah. There is one book that springs to my mind, and I slightly hesitate to say it actually because she's such an amazing writer. But there's a Margaret Atwood book called Surfacing, I think it's called. Yeah, I think it's called Surfacing. And I remember I read it actually on my course. It was one of the books we had to read, and it starts off. It's sort of a story about two couple. I think it's a woman. Her father's gone missing, and it's two couples, and they go to some remote island in Quebec to find the father or find what's happened, and then all these relationships, they're kind of living together in this wilderness sort of situation in this hut or something, and they all start to break down. And it's brilliant up to that point, and then it goes really weird. So the woman goes out and lives in the forest like an animal, and it goes really barking mad. And I loved it up to that point. So I would change the ending because I just thought that was just nuts.
I get the feeling that's kind of the scenario with Quentin Tarantino's Death Till Dawn. Have you seen that film? When they must have been reading that script, and it goes from like a classic gangster into a completely bizarre, I can't even explain, vampire thing. Right. They must have read that script, and in that exact same way, have just gone, what just happened? I have no idea.
Yes.
It's very strange, isn't it? I don't get why it's such a jump. Okay, in the same respect on that question, if you could take any character, whether it be in literature or fiction, in whatever universe, and do whatever you want with that character, in terms of, creating your own story with that character, who would that be?
Gosh. Someone like maybe Miss Marple.
Okay.
Nice.
And turn it dark. And make it all dark, or is that just my tendencies?
No, I like, the thing I like about her is, she's just like this, nondescript little old lady, but she's actually super smart, and she's like a hero that that you wouldn't expect. So you could sort of put her in a spy situation or something. Yeah.
Nice. Maybe a young Miss Marple.
Yeah.
See what she got up to in her younger days.
Yeah.
Be good.
I like the idea of like an evil Mary Poppins.
Yeah. I think in the original version, Disney made her really nice, but in the original, I don't think she. Oh no, am I getting muddled? Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think that is right.
Kung Fu Marple, classic Ross.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so should we move on to the? We can't do that, Chris, until you've asked your morbid question.
Oh yeah.
Hello, Mario. Hello.
This is a morbid one, but I feel like you'll have a good answer. So you're on your deathbed and you're looking back at your writing career. What does success look like for you? What would you be happy with?
Oh, that's quite an easy one to answer. I think I would love a sort of household name, like someone like Kate Atkinson or Margaret Atwood, or that would be my dream. So then I'd be happy. Or maybe a film as well. Let's chuck that in there too.
Nice, yeah.
If it was a film, who would play your main character? Who would you like as an actor?
Okay. I think for Hetty, for my main character in my book, I would. Oh, I can't remember her name.
I was going to say this is the point where all actors go out of your head and you can't remember any of them.
Jo in Little Women. She's got an Irish name, something like
Come on, Connor.
Cersei Rowan or something.
Cersei Roman.
No, I've forgotten her name.
Sounds very Irish. We'll go back to it. Don't worry. Yeah, Google it. Go on. We'll go on. We'll move on to the next bit while you're googling that. Oh, hang on. Source. I can't even pronounce that.
Exactly. How do you say that?
Cyrus. You're asking me, Chris Hooley. You might have a chance.
Is it Sarosa?
Sarosa Ronan.
Sarosa Ronan.
Shira.
Saoirse Ronan.
Come on, Connor. Everyone's waiting on you. We're not being racist at all.
I think
cool. So let's move on. We got a new family member, and Louise, this is a part of the show where we highlight someone who's in the writing community on Twitter, who's kind of new, and we plague them with gifts.
Okay.
Of the guest choice. So is there something that you like that we can throw at them in terms of gifts? Like it could be an animal, a character, a food. We've had dry shampoo before now.
Okay. I've got only one thing I can say at this moment, which is maybe a bit cheesy, but it has to be kittens because I've just got 2 kittens.
Oh,
nice.
And they're British blue. They have to be specific kittens. They're British blue long hair, and they are honestly just ridiculously cute. So
that makes no sense to me. Kittens can be brutal. Yes, they can. Okay, so today's new family member, and we have to do the video, of course. Warrior kittens. This is the wrong vibe we're sending out here. Let's do the new member. Okay, so this new person, Chris, are you ready with your Twitter?
I am indeed.
Can I just show you the kitten?
Oh yeah, definitely. See, I'm a kitten fan. Chris is definitely not. Oh, that's so cute.
Okay. That's like one off the advert.
Yeah.
That's really cute. I like it.
Is it locked somewhere or is it in the cupboard?
What, the kitten?
No, well, yeah. It's in the house.
Okay, so today's person that we're gonna what did Halo say? Who are we going to traumatize? That's the word. This person is Joshua Penn, and his Twitter name, Chris Hooley, is at the Penn Storm. So if you're watching this or you're listening, please open your Twitter tab at the Penn Storm. Careening. Okay, I can't say that word. What is it? Careening towards 35, faster every day. Writer. Yeah, he's got a beard. That's it. Bearded rainbow, lizard dad, country boy, and a huge nerd. So if we can throw a load of cats at a big guy with a big beard.
No, it's a specific type of cat. It's a British blue hair. Is it British blue long haired?
I don't know how many gifts there will be of that, Chris Hooley.
I'm sure we'll find some.
So if you can find that person and throw some gifts in their direction, that'd be fantastic. The Penn Storm should be easy enough to find this week.
There's actually more than you think. There's quite a lot.
What, the Penn Storms?
No. Gifts of the British blue-haired cats.
I'm just going for general cat, to be honest with you. And please give him a follow as well, because he's only got 399 followers now. You could be his 400th.
Chris, you have to follow the guest's wishes. You can't just throw any kitten out there.
No. Blue?
Long hair, because they're super furry. They're super
long hair.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very specific, this cat, isn't it?
Yeah. Like it. So, Louise, what was your, just while we're doing this sort of weird family member thing, what's your inspiration for writing in terms of writers that you read when you were younger and that you really admired and looked up to?
Oh, so many. Well, when I was younger, I loved things like Agatha Christie, or I used to read things like Jane Austen, the classics. But more recently, oh gosh, I read really, really widely. But I love, who do I love? Atkinson is one of my favorites. I love Maggie O'Farrell. Yeah.
Excellent. Have you ever had any experiences where you've been, I mean, I know it's COVID at the moment, but have you ever been on a retreat or been to a book signing or a convention and you've met one of your favorite writers and they've maybe spoke to you about your book or something and it's just been a real surreal moment for you?
Not really, because my book came out in the middle of COVID. So it hasn't really been. I have met. I do love Sophie Hannah's book, and I have met her because I went on a retreat of hers, and she's absolutely lovely. Yeah, I haven't met anyone really because I'm stuck here, like everyone.
I released my book in COVID too. I know the feeling. So this is the part of the show. If you've got a drink, fill it up, guys, and we'll get into the writing community question time. And this part, Louise, what we'll do is we'll all answer some questions from the community. Some of them are perhaps silly. I'm not going to lie about it. And then we got a little quiz type thing.
Yeah.
Which we started last Friday. So we'll see how that goes. Hello all. Hello to you on the chat. And my reading darkened my soul. I think Mario's gone a little dark since he's done his reading. Okay, so this is one for all of us. What has been your most unexpected inspiration for writing? That's a good question. I'll go first, as you're both going ooh. I mentioned before on the show, and people know about this, my granddad passed basically, and he had at his funeral, it was one of those speeches that, it wasn't his speech. Someone said about his life, and the amount of things he'd done in his life was very inspiring, and it really drove me on to want to do something better or more to be remembered by. So this is where it came from. So that's kind of a weird one for me.
Wow. I mean, go on, Louise. I'll let you. You look like you had a response.
I suppose it would be my daughter's illness, which is kind of a bad thing, but good things have come out of it.
Yeah, seems like tragedy is the motivational thing here, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, mine doesn't seem anywhere near as good in comparison. But yeah, I mean, I've talked about how I came into writing, and I think I was dumped, and I was like, right, I'm going to write a novel, and it's going to be a bestseller, and I'm going to prove this person wrong. So yeah, I think that's how that came about. Like, I was just wallowing in self-pity and a large amount of whiskey, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to write a book.
Oh, brilliant. Next one. How much research went into people? Oh, hang on. That's the one for earlier. Okay.
We can still ask it. You put it on now. You gave us a little tease.
How much research went into people like us, and how did you approach it? Did you use more primary or secondary resources?
Yeah, I used both, and a lot of research went into it. And as I say, I did general research first, and then where I got to specific points I needed to look into more, I did more. So as an example, I had trouble with road names because, of course, modern road names were not the same as they were then, and I had quite a lot of the characters going around the city, so I spent about 3 days looking at road names. So yeah, wow. that much detail.
Amazing. The next one's for me and you, Chris. Who would win on a horseback jousting match, Agate or Hooli? I'm going to say you, unless you have even less horse riding experience than me, because...
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you there, because that's a victory for me. So yeah, I'm going to totally annihilate you.
Oh, cool. Okay, pet dragon or pet kraken?
Oh. It is.
You don't know what a kraken is? With all those books behind you, there's no kraken in there somewhere. A kraken is a mythical monster of the sea, like a big angry octopus that is enormous.
Okay, I think I'll go for the dragon.
Yeah, pet dragon's got to be pretty cool.
I'm Welsh. It's going to be a dragon. So It's all the way. Dragon.
Like it.
Dragon wins. If you could choose one chapter from your books to come true, which one would it be and why? That's a cool question.
That is a good question.
Oh, that is a very tough question, but good.
Who's asking these questions?
I can't remember. Probably Halo. The Kraken would eat you, so don't have the Kraken. Do you know what? It'd have to be in my book when the zombies rush the big barricades and it all falls down, because it's, in a zombie novel, that's kind of the cool part, the big battle scene.
Yeah. My novel's my novel. I can converge the two. My novel is about death and what happens after death. So I suppose any of the chapters where you find out what happens after death coming true, I think that'd be quite interesting. I didn't do research for that novel because I was scared of not being able to come back. But it would be nice to know, wouldn't it, what there is to expect, if there is anything to expect.
Well, you could have spoken to one of those medium people that speak to the dead people.
Yeah, I did that, but that freaked me out a little bit. So I'm not going to lie.
Cool. Louise, have you got an answer to that?
I think I would say my last chapter in my...
No spoilers.
But I won't say why, because it would be a spoiler.
Okay, yeah, that's good. It's good. Don't put spoilers out.
That was a very good tease. I like that. That made me want to read the whole book just to get to the end.
What did they tell you, Huli, if you can share? Did they say anything? The spiritual people?
No, they just said weird stuff. Like, they talked about diets, which obviously we know for me is a constant thing. Apparently, I'm going to find a diet in midway through my life that's going to fix my problems. So I look forward to finding that.
That's called the alcohol diet.
Potentially, but I've heard it's not a very good diet. I've heard it's quite disastrous. It might be productive for writing, but no, they didn't say anything. They did say some predictions which actually have come true, which is a bit freaky.
Okay, like what?
Just that one of them that has come true is that my missus was going to get pregnant this year towards the end, and there'd be a few complications and stuff, which there has been at the moment. So
Did they say you become a host on the Writing Community Chat show?
They didn't, but they said watch out for a Welshman. He sometimes refers to himself as CJ and not Chris.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Okay, so that's all the questions we have there, unless any more come through the chat. But what we do have is this new kind of thing that we did last week, which was Guess the Year by books. So have you got? I'm assuming Louise has got great book knowledge.
Yeah, Louise is going to destroy me in this, I should imagine.
Got good year knowledge, though.
I'm not too good with the tires either, but you'd be fine. That's a terrible joke. Okay. Book battle. Yes, Halo. Book battle. Okay, so you have to guess the year. All of these books are from the same year. Please, on the chat, do get involved with this, but no cheating, no Googling, and don't... Can you guys see the chat?
No.
Okay.
We can't see it. We can only see our chat. That's for the three of us.
Okay, that's cool. Let the games begin then, as Halo says. So these are from the same year. If you can give me an answer, I guess the first one wins.
I don't even know what year my favorite book came out, let alone anybody else's books. Like, it's going to be hard.
You got 10 books to narrow it down, so come on.
I don't see any
Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. Is that how you say that?
This seems quite a recent one.
No takers?
Nope.
Okay. Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert.
2003.
Incorrect. And Halo, you're way off.
God.
My all-time favorite book, World War Z, an oral history of the zombie war by Max Brooks.
Can we guess again? Are we frozen out?
No, you just keep guessing.
2007?
Nope.
I'm going to say 2009.
You can't just keep banging in the you can't just keep saying years like that.
I did ask if I could say it.
No, not you. Sorry, on the chat. They just answers. Okay, Dear John by Nicholas Sparks.
2010.
Someone had 2000 what? No, someone has been very close. I'm not saying who. Okay, A Dirty Job by Christopher Moore, one of our previous guests.
2008.
Incorrect, Chris Hooley. Okay, The End, a series of unfortunate events by Lemony Snicket.
See, I've read A Dirty Job as well.
Someone on the chat very close.
I don't know.
No one having a guess? Come on.
2006.
You got 4 left.
2006.
You both just said that, didn't you?
Yeah,
Who said it first?
I said it first, but
No, I said it.
We're gonna have to have a tiebreaker here, guys. It's 2006. Halo, that is shocking. I don't know what you're saying there. Okay, so it's 2006. We're gonna have to figure something out in a second. What book do we have last? Okay, The Book of Lost Things by John Connolly was also in this year. Fragile Things, Short Fictions and Wonders by Neil Gaiman. Cell by Stephen King came out in this year. And The Audacity of Hope, Thoughts on Reclaiming the American Dream by Barack Obama. And it was indeed 2006. So well done to you. I have been defeated. You can't just say early 2000s. That's not a specific year. But you were very close on the guessing. So someone please someone go on Google right now and send us in a tiebreaker question, because we're going to need it, because that was weird that they just said the same answer at the same time. While you're doing that, we'll have a fact.
Go on.
So, do you want a fact, Chris, about books?
Is this an actual fact, or is this a fact that you thought was a fact and it's actually not a fact?
This is not one of my I thought was a fact is complete rubbish fact. This is, I think, a genuine fact. And it's quite a fun fact, because it says fun fact next to it. So, the first bookmobile. Anyone else remember bookmobiles?
Vaguely.
You used to drive around like an ice cream van.
Yeah.
Do you have those in America? They were like ice cream vans that drove around full of books. I don't know. So the first bookmobile in the world was launched in 1857, and it was a horse-drawn carriage or wagon created to diffuse good literature among the rural population. And it was launched by a philanthropist, George Moore. The first ever bookmobile started opening in Great Britain, 19th century. The horse-drawn wagon served books from bookshelves mounted on the outside and travelled between 8 villages in Cumbria County in northwest England.
Hey.
I wish we had those.
Yeah.
I loved bookmobiles. So Mario, you're from America, and Halo says she wishes she had those. So I'm guessing, pretty rare. Yeah, they used to come around like ice cream vans, and you can get books from them like a library. It's kind of weird. Cool. No one seemed to comment on that, so we'll move on.
So, just a reminder, obviously, people watching at the start of the show, we do have a copy of Louise's book, People Like Us, to give away. So if you want to win that book, as well as Halo, she's been on the chat. We've got both her books, book 1 and book 2, of her series to give away. So that's 3 books that you could have completely free from the show this weekend. So if you're watching right now, just tweet the show or retweet the show with the hashtag win, and we'll pick a winner at the end of the show.
Do it now. Takes 2 seconds, and you can win a book, or 2 books, or 3 books.
Louise, before
for it, like give a book, borrow a book, give a book, or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Louise, before we go, where can people find everything about you and your books?
Okay, so I have a website, which is www.louisefeinauthor.com. And then I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all with Louise Fein Author. I love hearing from readers, and please get in touch.
it is a fantastic website. I honestly can vouch for that. And I spent a long time. I just popped on there to get a bit of information. I spent ages looking for the blog and your backstory, Louise. It's fantastic. And it's really sort of a nice down to earth touch. And it was really good information on there. So please go and look at that. And again, support the authors and support the show with our book sponsor, Mario's Book Today. And to look forward to, our Christmas show after today. Only 4 more shows left until our Christmas special, which will be a lot of fun.
Wow.
And the newsletter will be out in about 10 days. So if you have book reviews, community book reviews you'd like to feature in the newsletter, please let us know. And we will be running a competition very shortly for the book of the month. And you can win your book to go in the newsletter. Not win your book, but we can put a review of your book in our newsletter. So look out for that stuff.
Louise, do you have any nice plans for Christmas? Have you got anything set in stone or?
So I think it's just going to be us. We're a family of 5. It's just going to be us because of like people self-isolating and bubbles. Yeah, so it's going to be a quiet one this year, but I will have editing to do, I think. So excuse me, that's the gate. Sorry about that.
Let them in.
So yeah, but it's been such a pleasure meeting you guys and being on the show. So thank you for having me, and keep writing, everyone out there.
And Louise, when can we expect book 2?
In England, 2nd of September 2021. And in America, I think it's something like the 4th of October. Yeah.
Santa's wearing Santa panties. I don't think we're going to dress up like that, Mario. Anyway, been an absolute pleasure, Louise. Thank you so much. And if you guys hang on to the stream a minute, I'm going to try, because we're new on Twitch at the moment. There's a fantastic guy jamming some amazing guitar on the other channel, and I'm going to try and switch us over to there. So if you want to just stay around for 2 seconds, we'll jump over and you can have a look at that. But Louise, thank you so much for joining us. It'd be fantastic.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys. Hold. You can leave. I'll try and do this.
Okay. Thanks.
No.
Bye.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that. Oh, that sounded terrible.
You did. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
you can leave now. Thank you.
I'm trying to do this Twitch bollocks. I just probably
do that
sounded
after you've politely asked the guest to leave.
It's complicated.
Louise, it was a pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed having you on the show. You don't have to stick around for this because I'm doing some weird Twitch shit. But if you want to, you can.
I didn't know how to kick her off politely.
No, Chris, we do not kick our guests off the show.
We
ask them if they like to stick around, and if they don't, they do that awkward bit where they go, "Oh, I'll stay for a little bit," and then they leave slightly after that.